One thing that you guys probably don't know, as well as I didn't know in the moment, or oftentimes I forgot, was the bigger picture. On the strategic level, why am I living in these conditions? Why am I getting bombarded? Why does my life suck? Well, we gotta talk about Ukraine. When I first joined, I did a couple things at the start, but the longest that I served in a unit at the beginning of the war was an SSO partisan team. Our mission spanned from planting mines, doing reconnaissance into the gray zone, which was the biggest portion of it, as well as doing security and QRF against tank assaults, and demining and making routes to the front line. And the thing is that all of us were very, very skilled. There was a lot of experience inside this unit where we could have taken out any trench that they showed. But our team's job was different than what we wanted. Even though we would get very, very close and we knew there's only 3 guys in that trench, there were a bunch of conscripts, we could do that today. The grander picture, which we had no idea about, was the Kharkiv offensive. That's when we knew what our purpose was in that team. Our purpose was not to gain attention in this area. They wanted to prepare for this Kharkiv offensive, which was under the wraps since the beginning of the war, that they knew they were gonna do. They were waiting for the funding of NATO, which would give them the MRAPs and the Humvees in order to conduct this giant, large-scale offensive. I mean, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't upset at the time when we couldn't go on these assaults and do these missions that we knew we could. But how we attracted attention there 4 months later with the Kharkiv offensive, perhaps it wouldn't have gone as well. Perhaps they would have fortified a little bit more. We were purposely looking weak so that the Russians didn't fortify. Does that make sense? And it paid off. And it's that grander scale, that more strategic outlook, the year down the road, a couple months down the road, that you just don't get as a soldier. And it's something that we forget. This should be a good reminder to all of you. Whatever branch, whatever job you have in the military, just know that there's a bigger picture to it, and you don't know how that's going to impact operations and the people around you in the future. The next one, I was less reactionary and I was more proactive. I became an instructor for 2 rotations with TDI, Trying Defense Initiative. And the reason was because I wanted to have the bigger picture in my control. I didn't have to have a contract. I didn't have to be under some strict leadership. I would be given a class of 30 dudes and 2 weeks to train them on the very basics. Something that any infantryman could have done at that time. And it was very needed. When I did my last class with TDI, we had just reached 10,000 soldiers trained. It was mostly the border guards of Ukraine that we were training. And I bet they were concerned as well. They were wondering, why are we getting all this infantry training? I'm on the Belarus border, I'm in Lviv, why am I getting this training? Until they were sent to Bakhmut. They were sent to the Luhansk area. They were sent to all these regions as soldiers to hold the lines. For them, it was the same thing. Why are we conducting this training? I just got out of boot camp. Why again? There's a bigger picture that you're not being told, either for OPSEC reasons or because you're a soldier and you just gotta follow orders. So being an instructor, it was easy. It was 2 weeks, train these guys up, make them good. We also questioned, we were like, why are we training border guard? Like, why not like the bigger ones? But it made a lot more sense when they started getting deployed out east. So that was also a learning lesson for me. Like, even though I was proactive in choosing my role in the Ukrainian war, I was still surprised at the bigger picture. Me and the 130th TDF as a drone operator. I started off as a drone operator. I ended up not liking getting bombarded. Those guys loved it a lot more than me, so I wanted to move over to FPVs. They were supportive of it. It was in the middle of that time when I knew that they wanted to transition to FPVs. I knew that I would also really like to engineer these things. I want to learn more about it. It was just perfect. I saw the bigger picture that FPVs are up and coming, and no matter if we're a little bit late, it's good to start now. What are we thinking a year down the road? Do we want to be flying Mavics? Nobody wanted that. Nobody really enjoys that for a long period of time. We wanted to be proactive and strike the enemy because we had that training. We knew how to fly these things. We just didn't have the engineering or funding to produce them. And that's also when I saw the bigger picture in my channel. Like when I hit 1 million subscribers in a bunker. I hit it on my second operation as a Mavic pilot.
Everybody post this footage. If I'm dead, guaranteed I did get to celebrate 1 million subs. Because I'm not gonna die in the next 5 days. It's gonna be on the eBay, if anything.
And the bigger picture of the YouTube channel wasn't the funding I got or the paycheck. It was the fact that the FPVs that we made, the entire FPV team that we made was completely funded by you guys. It was grassroots from the bottom. You guys trust us. You guys gave us thousands of dollars to go and spend on FPVs and equipment that we needed until we were able to conduct our first successful operation after 6 months. You guys had the patience. You guys knew the bigger picture. I knew it. And I would tell you, and we saw it, we got it done. So, props to you guys, whether you guys are just viewers or donators. The bigger picture was in view for all of us, and we knew it was gonna take some time, but it was worth it. It was so worth it. Arnie, Artem, V, they're still doing FPV strikes to this day, FPV bomber strikes. It's all because you guys started. Hats off to you guys, all right? Sunglasses off to you guys, all right? That's all I got. Really appreciate it. It's incredible what we did. And it's incredible what you can do if you see the bigger picture. It'll keep your motivation just on track. You won't get strayed away from what you want, what you need. Obviously, when you join the US military, you don't know where you're going to get deployed. It's a big military, and even if you're infantry, you might not even get deployed to a combat zone, especially now. I was stationed in 29 Palms, which is in the middle of the desert. So we pretty much knew exactly where we were going to get deployed, which was in the Middle East somewhere. And lo and behold, yeah, after one training deployment in Australia, our unit then got sent to Syria. And that is exactly what we trained out for. But one thing that the commanders don't tell you is that they've known that we're getting deployed to Syria for the last couple of years. They know the rotation schedule for the certain battalions, but they don't tell us. They don't tell us on purpose. They don't want us to leak certain rotation times and certain information, OPSEC. They also want to keep us on our toes. They knew that we were going to have an Australian deployment before then, when we thought and hoping that we were going to go to the Middle East. So nonetheless, what was the bigger picture? What was the bigger reason for us being there? It was just to be ready. It was to be able to defend the Middle East and to fight ISIS. That was the big one. Now, when I went to Syria on my own, my unit was deployed at the time. I had no idea. They didn't tell me, but now, the mission that we had in the YPG was very similar, but in our specific unit, we had such a big identity crisis. We had no idea what we were doing. We trained day and night, but they kept us far away from the front line against ISIS in the south. So we were very confused for many months. But it became very clear when I left Syria the reason behind that. We were stationed at the border between Syria and the country Turkey. And Turkey thought of us as terrorists. No matter how aligned we were with the coalition, directly being supported by them, and our commanders knew that we were going to get invaded. So the bigger picture of us being stationed and building defensive positions that close to the border was the invasion that happened a couple months after I left. The Turkish forces used Al-Qaeda to invade down south, even a bit into the area that I was at, and that was the reason. We didn't know it for nearly a year, but that was the whole reason. It was because there was an attack upcoming. They knew that was going to happen, but for us, we didn't notice that. We didn't appreciate that. We didn't appreciate our defensive role of putting soldiers in a place that was potentially going to be attacked and was attacked. So yeah, we complained that other units were being sent down south to destroy the remnants of ISIS, but our unit's purpose was a purpose that wasn't seen yet, but was definitely coming. Does it make sense? It's very interesting. And that's something you don't get as a soldier. You never know until it actually happens. And that brings us into Iraq, where I was able to go there on my own means. And I knew that I was going to be in a defensive role, a lot like what I had in the YPG. And we took it very seriously. Staying in the Shangal Mountains, we didn't really have much threats. Yeah, we had spies, we had saboteurs, ISIS. So we would have to stay on top of this mountain, watch out for them, make sure nobody got close to our positions there. We lived in this tunnel system. And for myself, I knew the bigger picture as soon as I got there, that we were expecting an invasion. It could be from any army around there. It could be the Iraqi army, it could be the Peshmerga forces, it could be Turkey, or what we thought was most probable, the whole reason that YBS started, the group I was with, was an attack by Al-Qaeda. All right, these Islamic extremists really hate the Yazidi people there that don't believe in the Islamic belief, and they want to go and just kill, massacre everybody. So our goal was to maintain our positions there, survive the winters, survive the boiling temperatures in summer on top of these mountains. It was awful. And our job was to dig out these tunnels, prepare the defenses, train, make sure we have all the logistics. We'd have to carry in like 2,000 bags of water and food, trying to get ready for this invasion that was looming. And guess what? The invasion hasn't happened yet, but it will. It will 100% happen. And that is why we're there. Fighters have been there for the last 10 years, living in the tunnels, surviving, getting bombed by jets and drones. It is all for this looming war. All right, we're thinking 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road. We're not thinking just now. There's kind of a beautiful thing with that. And to be honest, most of the people that were in my unit that were with me, my good friends, they forgot about that a lot of times. They knew their purpose, they knew the grander purpose, but they wanted to go out there and raid different positions, fight ISIS, take out the remnants, just like I wanted in the YPG International. But luckily, I had this experience in the past with the YPG, so I was able to maintain myself, and I had morale the entire time, knowing the bigger picture. So that was very valuable. You know, a lot of those people didn't want to hear it. A lot of them ran away. They deserted because they were like me before. So I don't judge them too much, but it's like, shoot, just get your eyes on the bigger picture. It'll fix a lot. Sometimes you won't know it, but other times you just need to look at what is being asked of you and then ask, why is this important? Why do we police call? That's a very typical thing in the military and peacetime is you wake up in the morning before PT, you have to go out and you have to pick up all the cigarette butts. Why do we do that? Well, maybe because it's filthy. We gotta pick it up, cool. But also so that when the commanders come by, they know that you're disciplined, you listen to rules, and you think about the small things. And then they're gonna give you better training opportunities and better deployment opportunities. They're not gonna give it to the shitbags who aren't cleaning up after themselves outside the barracks. It's the small things that make a difference. And whether you see it at 4 a.m. cleaning up cigarette butts off the ground or not, or you see it in the middle of a live fire scenario, it's all the same. You gotta prove yourself, you gotta keep doing the job. You as a soldier, you gotta do what you're asked, and that's about it. And that's really as simple as it is. I hope you guys got something from this. I really just wanna encourage you guys, if you guys are in the military, thinking about it. Maybe you guys don't know where your role would fit, and maybe you don't want to be infantry, like I don't want to be anymore, but you want to work, you want to help out. Well, it's very important that you see the bigger picture. Every job in the military has an impact. Every job has its importance. And it's just about opening your eyes past the narrow, this is what I want to do. And you open your eyes and you can see all sorts of different benefits that you're providing and the different routes you can go down. And you never know where life is going to take you, but you're not going to be able to enjoy the process unless you see the bigger picture. So that's all I want to say. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.